Welcome, everybody, to Law&Crime Daily. I'm Jesse Weber. Police in Massachusetts are expanding their search for a missing mother after finding some pretty chilling clues in the home that her family was renting near Boston. And during those searches, investigators reportedly found trash bags with blood, a hatchet, a hacksaw, a rug, and, of course, used cleaning supplies. On Tuesday, police searched several waste and recycling facilities in southeastern Massachusetts. Anna Walshe was last seen on New Year's Day. On January 3rd, she was supposed to be on a flight to her job with a real estate firm in Washington, D.C., but she never showed up, and no one has heard from her ever since. Her employer was actually the one to report her missing. Now, police arrested her husband, Brian Walshe, on Monday, accusing him of misleading police. He was already awaiting sentencing in a federal case where he tried to sell fake Andy Warhol paintings on eBay. Walshe wasn't supposed to leave his home without permission, but police discovered that not only did he leave on January 2nd, he went to a Home Depot store and spent more than $400 in cash buying cleaning supplies. According to police, they found blood as well as a bloody knife in the basement of the home where the Walshe family was renting. And we've also learned that Walshe allegedly Googled how to dispose of a 115-pound woman's body. He's not been charged in connection with his wife's disappearance as of yet, but Walshe is being held on $500,000 bond for allegedly deceiving the cops. The Walshes' 3 children are now in the custody of the Department of Children and Family Services. So I have my two co-hosts with me today, defense attorney Brian Buckmeyer, former trial attorney Terry Austin. Brian, we have seen murder cases where a body's not found. Do you think at this point there's enough circumstantial evidence here for a murder charge?
I think they just need one more thing, and that's to test the DNA in the blood that's found in the basement as well as on the knife. If that matches for Anna Walshe, then I think they have everything, because they could at least say we're going to get an indictment here. But in this case, I think there's no rush. That $500,000 bail for deceiving the police, that's not deceiving police bail. That's homicide bail. And I think they know they have enough information. They're holding on to him because they don't want him to disturb any evidence or try to get rid of it in any way. I think they could take their time here and collect more evidence as they move along, because he's not going anywhere with the state case or the federal case.
Terry, if they bring murder charges, is there anything you see about motive at this point?
Well, I don't think it's if, I think it's when they are going to bring those murder charges. It's just too much evidence against this guy. But I do see a possible motive. Oftentimes when you have the spouse, they're going to look for a triangle, a love triangle, or they're going to look for some financial motive. I don't see either one of those yet, but here's what I'm thinking so far, just based on the little bit we know. That eBay selling that he was doing was on her eBay account. Maybe he wanted to make sure she didn't repeat anything. Maybe she knew about it, and so he tried to silence her. Right now, I think that might be a motive, but again, you know, you don't have to prove a motive. You just have to prove that he intended to kill her, and I think they have enough for that.
We still don't have a lot of information, but I'll tell you what, this is we've seen cases like this before, and usually it is not a great end. In Newport News, Virginia, we are following updates on Friday's shooting at Rich Neck Elementary School, where a 6-year-old boy fired a shot at a teacher during class. And we now know that the weapon that was involved was owned by the boy's mother. Police say the young student used a 9mm handgun in the targeted shooting of 25-year-old Abigail Zwerner. Officials revealed in a press conference that it was legally purchased by the boy's mother and was in their family home. The boy brought the gun, I should say, to school in his backpack. Officials said Zwerner put her hand up in a defensive position when the shot was fired, and it went through her hand and into her upper chest. She's currently in a hospital, but it's said to be that she's improving. The police chief detailed the status of the suspect and what's next in the legal process.
Detectives talk with Human Services and Child Protective Services, our Commonwealth Attorney's Office. I've talked to Mr. Gwynn several times, as late as last night and this afternoon. The Community Service Board, which addresses mental and behavioral health. Due to the age of the child, we made these contacts and conversations to seek guidance on possible services, because none of us have a lot of information dealing with something like this. A Community Service Board determined that a temporary detention order would be obtained from a magistrate, and the child is currently receiving treatment at a medical facility. As far as charges against family members, parents, once the information, once all the interviews have been conducted, as the gentleman behind you just asked about, if the parents said anything, once all that stuff is obtained, we know what we know from Human Services or Child Protective Services, what information the schools have, the other interviews that we still need. I'd like the detectives want to go back and have some more conversation with Abigail. We will present that and sit down with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. They will review that, and a great comment he made to me today was where the facts are and what the law supports will determine if there will be any charges. But I would be wrong to make that statement now. It'll be where the investigation leads.
Well, we'll continue to follow the case here on Law&Crime Daily and, of course, provide you more updates as they surface. Well, we now know prosecutors will retry that 70 Show star Danny Masterson after a jury deadlocked at the end of last year on rape charges. Jurors weren't able to reach a unanimous verdict in November, and Masterson's defense team filed to have the 3 charges dismissed, but the judge denied that and scheduled a new trial to start in March. Masterson is charged with raping 3 women, including a former girlfriend, between 2001 and 2003 at his home in the Hollywood Hills. All 3 accusers are ex-Scientologists and are suing Masterson as well as the Church of Scientology in civil court as well. Flo Rida is suing Celsius Holdings, which makes Celsius energy drinks. The platinum-selling artist says that Celsius owes him money that he was supposed to make as part of an endorsement deal. Flo Rida served as a brand ambassador to help the drink maker launch in 2014 and grow from there. Flo Rida and 2 companies that helped him broker the deal were supposed to get payments when Celsius reached certain benchmarks, but his legal team says that those extra royalties were never paid. A jury for the case was sworn in on Tuesday afternoon.
Plaintiffs claim that the defendants breached contractual obligations by failing to pay compensation owed to plaintiffs, and that plaintiffs have incurred resulting damages. Defendant denies that it breached any contract and claims that it does not owe plaintiffs any additional compensation.
Terry, you're our civil trial law expert. What do you think about it?
You know, you might remember Flo Rida's very popular song, Sometimes I Get a Good Feeling. Well, there are no good feelings in this case. So, for the most part, civil cases can be broken down into 2 types. First, breach of contract, or a breach of a tort. And a tort is just another word for a duty owed to someone else. So negligence is the most common one. And it's a tort because the defendant breached a duty of care to someone else. This case is a very simple contract dispute, which should make the outcome fairly straightforward. Most contract disputes can be decided by the information contained in the 4 corners of that contract. But the terms of this contract, they weren't so clear. Flo Rida is claiming that as the brand ambassador, he should have profited when the company profited. He claims that he took the company from a $1 per share company to a $98 per share. But the contract refers to units instead of shares, and it doesn't really specify any cutoff date. So there could have also been an unfair advantage, and a jury is going to have to figure that out.
Brian, based on what Terry said, what do you think? The jury's going to side with Flo Rida or Celsius?
All right, so hear me out. I haven't done contract law since my first year of law school many, many moons ago. But from what I understand, the drafter of the contract usually has the information read against them. So when Terry talks about units or shares, if Celsius Energy Holding, or Celsius Holding, sorry, is the one who drafted the contract, any ambiguity may be read against them. And if you're asking me, I don't know, who's going to improve whose brand more, Flo Rida or Celsius Energy Drink? I've never heard of Celsius Energy Drink. I mean, I'm Canadian, I know how to use Celsius. But Flo Rida is probably the one who actually brought more profit to this company. So I think the jury may lean more to his side because of name recognition, especially in the community that this case is going in.
Yeah, you guys need to switch from Celsius. It just gets way too complicated. We don't do everything perfect here, but
Hey,
you guys got to switch.
I know boiling point and freezing point, okay?
Better than me. Better than me.